So today,
Actually, it was funny because I was thinking a lot about this because since I'm starting doing my portfolio
Mhm.
and like making my own work, it's really hard. The
Yeah.
shit is like fucking more difficult to me than working for somebody. Because when you're working for somebody, it's like it's like their headache to figure out if I'm good or not,
Yeah.
if what I'm producing
Production.
is actually
Like,
valuable or not.
Yeah.
But like working on your own shit is like holy shit. It's like it's constantly fail. Like I did a test when like the
Yeah.
testing is almost killed me. Like the thing when I was like, I'm telling you, like my whole thing, I realized that I have way too much confidence than I actually have skill. So I'm like, I always think that I'm a hot shit, and then I fail and I eat shit, and then I was like, oh my god, I actually don't know how to draw or paint.
But I think
I
that's
gotta I gotta
good.
switch careers.
Yeah, yeah, and then have like a self crisis.
No, dude, I've been thinking about switching careers like about 2 months now.
That's the cycle of animation, baby. You
Yeah.
have a job for a sweet 4 months, and then you're like jobless, and you're like, fuck.
You know, dude, it's rough. It's like not the having that thing where it's like, yeah, I never thought about like, I know that everyone talks about like inconsistent job in animation and so forth, but like actually experiencing that where you're like, oh my god, I have a job, I'm okay. Oh, I'm a deep shit loser. I cannot produce anything.
And I think too, it's like also age wise, like the older you get, and like realizing that, oh my god, this is it for. Because I feel like there's always like a little hope in your back of your mind that like, oh,
by the time.
yeah, by the time I'm 50, I'll have a stable career. And no, you know what I mean?
I'm still holding on to the
That's
hope.
not a thing. I mean, I kind of wish we would have talked to our teachers a bit more. I mean, they're in a different situation because they're teachers, so
Yeah,
that is their stability. And
that's
it's
true.
different than people who are just like working productions.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I kind of wish we would have talked to somebody a bit more who's older, who's going through that right now, right?
yeah.
Because for us, we're still kind of in that cusp of like, okay, we graduated semi recently, not
But dude, it's
recently,
been a
but
while ago now. I was thinking about 2022.
but in
It's 2025 now,
I
lady.
I know, dude,
It's 3 years ago.
wild. But
Wait,
in
it is 3 years ago.
history, yeah.
Oh my god, I am deep shit loser.
No, you're not such a loser.
I literally the way I failed that painting test for the what was it
Game company?
game company.
Mm.
Holy shit, dude, that was embarrassing.
There was so many reasons
I
for
don't, I
that.
don't like how I showed it to my family, my drawings, and my mom was like, "Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's pretty good. You know, like your style is not like it's not like good clean one.
Yeah.
It's like it's like for kids books and
Yeah, like
stuff.
simple shit style.
Yeah, like
No?
simple shit stuff."
That's funny.
I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that
so.
that tracks."
So funny. But that shit's so good, like keeping you on your toes all the time. Like I feel like
Yeah, honestly, I was like, thanks to you because I wouldn't finish that
push.
test because it was like, I was like, it's fine, I got this. It's gonna be easy sitting down at 5 p.m. I was like, I just need a couple of hours to finish the
Psycho.
test.
No, I saw that. I saw that fucking art, and I was like, bro, you're fucked.
I was like, nah, I got
That's
this. Easy shit.
that's
Did a
insane.
test. I was like, oh my god, I've never finished this. And it also looks like trash.
Yeah, dude,
I was like, I've
no.
never finished it.
You need to be like, you need to paint that way already. Like,
Yeah.
to learn how to paint like that in like a day is not,
No, like, yeah. And I was like
yeah,
sitting until 8 in the morning.
dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still
That
cool
was
process.
embarrassing. Holy shit.
But like shit again, like so shit like that's good. And I think there's like something like that's like you say like you're like overconfident. But I feel like a lot of people that we've met actually have the opposite problem where they're actually super like they work a lot and hard and they have really good skills, but they're so inconfident that they don't even apply. And we talked about this in another podcast, right? Like that people aren't, they're just not even applying to jobs because they don't think they're good enough because they see all this stuff on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like actually,
Yeah, I don't know about that because I mean, in the sense that like, yeah, I feel like just building up a confidence is like another thing
yeah, I know.
because
Yeah,
it's like, man, skill is more important. Like, and like I feel like I wish I was more in their shoes because I actually know how to do shit instead of being like, I got this. I
okay,
know this.
okay. Well, to be like, I'm just trying to defend your position here.
No, but like,
Because like you're applying to again, like just because you do layout doesn't mean it's gonna apply to like illustration game art. It's a totally different field, totally different skill
Yeah,
set.
listen, I think I got this. Like, I
I
secretly,
think it's
I,
decent.
I secretly think I still got this. It was just like a fucked up time. Okay, I gotta do it again. But meanwhile, constantly facing, I don't know. Like my mom was telling me the whole story when I was a kid, and I was like failing to roll out the dough for the dumplings,
Mhm.
and I was like, I keep trying, and I just eating eating shit, and I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, what do I do with this? Like, he's like retarded. He's like keep rolling the dough. And he could like he keeps crying, sweating, and like
Oh,
trying to roll
yeah.
the dough.
Yeah,
And he's like, it's not going like this. I was like, and
yeah.
it's like constant confidence. Yeah, I got this. I can roll a dough like my mom can.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
whatever. She's grown as I was like 4, and
yeah,
it's
of
like
course, yeah.
she's a grown ass lady. I don't care. I can do it as good as her.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like failing,
Oh,
crying,
this food
sweating.
doesn't look good. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, but mom still used that. Use that dough, like rolled out dough for the
Oh,
dumpling.
wow.
It was like she's like it looks like trash, but we used it.
Tastes good, tastes
Yeah,
the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, because of me constantly thinking about like this constant sense of like losing confidence, but secretly having confidence, constantly failing at
Flip-flop,
like flip flopping at producing work that you actually want, and like so in that space you were like constantly like kind of thinking about how to improve what you produce. I don't know,
Mhm.
like constantly keep thinking about like how to make stuff more efficient, more better at you making things. I don't know, like I'm really like jealous of some people like our friend like Luhan or
Oh,
somebody who just like sit down and produce work.
produce, yeah.
Yeah, and then like just like become so good, and then just like they just like kind of just sit down and do work. And like I feel like either I'm too lazy or like I just don't work like this, where I'm like I want to make it more efficient. I want to make it like max of my skill. Like
But I think
I don't want to.
it's
I
a
think I just don't want to work hard, man.
no, I think it's a different type of work, right? Because I just put you and your brother in contrast. Like Erkin, he's a grinder. It's
Oh
funny to
yeah,
say like
he is a grind.
that. Right? Like he will just sit down at his table for 10 hours and just like write out stuff, right?
Yeah,
Write out stuff, write out stuff. But that's
but
not
I feel like
you.
I don't know, because when I see Luhan working, it's just like she's a machine.
Yeah, yeah.
But my but Erkin a grinder, but he's like cries all the
Oh,
time.
yeah,
How hard it is.
well, because Luhan has like she's also really balanced from again, this is what we knew like before, like I don't know now, but
Yeah.
before like
Well,
there's
like
like a
I'm talking about when we were in
yeah
school. Yeah.
when we were in school, yeah, yeah. Because there's like she would wake up, do her workout, work only the 8 hours. She
Yeah.
did never really like I mean maybe sometimes when she was doing multiple jobs she worked overtime, but like for the most part like she wasn't one of these people like me and like Diana and I we would like work like 16 hours and we'd get
Yeah,
half of the amount of work done that Luhan would in half of the amount of time, right?
Dude, I didn't even do that shit. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. Like yeah, I know, dude. It's like the girls were working it, and I was like, at least you both were like super. You and Diana were like grinding.
Yeah, but like, I
I
feel
was killing it, and I don't know what was I doing, like picking my
like you
nose.
work out a lot.
Yeah, but dude, you cannot work out like like
I don't know.
16 hours that you're awake or whatever.
Maybe you sleep a lot.
I do
Well,
sleep
I
a
mean,
lot.
but to be fair,
I
like
do take
you think a lot about how
Yeah, that's
things.
my problem. Like
Yeah,
I think a lot, and this is
that's
like
what
the most
affects.
annoying thing about me. I feel like I just overthink things and nothing gets produced.
Yeah, I think.
Like my favorite thing is to think a lot. Like my
Yeah,
mom was describing, like she's like, "Oh, my child is literally like has mental disability because he looks like a absolute retard." Like I was laying on the couch and picking my nose, staring at the ceiling. Like, and mom was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I gave birth to like a child with the challenges. I gotta go test it with the psychologist." But like,
very
but like,
cerebral.
yeah. But my dad was like, maybe he thinks about something interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Mom was like, yeah.
So
And then she goes, okay, I'll test it. She goes like, what are you thinking about? I'm like, the kid was like 6 year old. So I was like, I think God doesn't exist.
which is wild.
Yeah.
You're
And
like,
mom was like, maybe he does think about something cool, but that's a problem. Was it cool? It was some stupid shit that I could have been like, I don't know, playing games, like developing. I was thinking if God exists or not.
helpful. I mean,
That's stupid.
it's not necessary. I don't know. I can't defend you, man. But I'm not. Dude, I was playing in mud, so so I wasn't even thinking
Yeah,
of
but that's
cool
what I'm
stuff.
saying. At least you develop good gut biome or whatever.
Yeah, eating shit,
Eating eating like a
eating dirt.
sand pile. Like you did
Oh,
mud pile,
balls.
mud cakes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, delicious. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just different approaches, but there is something to be said. I feel like ultimately what it comes down to, like if just to be good at period anything, you just have to do it a lot. Do it a lot all the time. And yeah, there are like there's definitely good things about thinking about your process and like how to develop efficiencies in it. But I think it's balance of both those things, right? And right now maybe you have a lot of the thinking part, but not so much of the doing.
No, I feel like
Because in order to also fix your process, you need to do your process to see where the
I
inefficiency
understand,
is. So,
but it's like that's why I feel like I kind of refer a lot to all those like anecdotes from my childhood. Is because through like there is a kind of pattern to your behavior in general,
yeah,
like
definitely.
how I operate,
Mm.
and then there's certain things that it's really hard to change. Especially, I feel like there is inefficiency when it comes to actually making things. Like because I genuinely have a tendency of overthink things or like think way too much and actually do. But like in order to make stuff, you actually have to do stuff, not to think about it a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I came to realization. Especially like I started reading this the book that we grab from library.
Which one? The alchemy book?
No, not the alchemy book. Alchemy book is crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, but no, the artist. What's his name? The
Oh, Sid Meier?
yeah, Sid
I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Sid Mead.
Sid Mead, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, Sid
Sid
Meier.
Meier. Sid
Funny.
Mead, yeah. And he just like his book and like one of his lines that was really in the beginning of like he described design process is kind of like going outside of yourself and standing outside and letting you work kind of that's what I don't know if it's exact line but something along those lines like
Okay.
when he's like pretty much letting you work and kind of like observing your work and not interfering with that shit.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's like there's a process of when you kind of get out of your own way to make things.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So that's how I kind of interpreted it. Like I gotta read it. Dude is obviously prolific and like
Yeah,
one of the
course.
and like yeah, and the way he right away like to put it in that phrase, especially me thinking a lot about like kind of getting out my own way and producing things is like was like wow. So yeah, like there's some validity to that. So like if guys like Sid Mead thought about it, there's something about it, right?
Yeah.
Where you produce work and you kind of getting out of your own way and just letting the process take over instead of like you thinking and constantly analyzing or like critiquing what you make.
Yeah.
I know it's like a whole thing, like a known thing about like being out of your own, being not in your way and doing the whole process, but it's really harder to do than actually like think about it. I don't know, and it's like me thinking like I think what I was thinking a lot is like actually like a lot of when you make stuff, it's actually a lot of that comes like it's not conscious process of making stuff. It's like a subconscious thing.
Yep.
When you're just doing it and in a flow, you kind of make almost intuitive decisions instead of like a rational thing. It was like when I'm designing things, when I'm trying to design stuff right now, like there's a part where you're like, okay, how do I rationally think about it on this picture and make things flow good in this picture and stuff like this. But sometimes you just do it and it seems like it works. I don't and it's like sometimes you just do intuitive decision making that probably combination of like your previous experience, your skill, and like
Yeah.
and like a combination of what you've seen and like all this back information in your brain that you kind of only access like a little bit, but mostly it kind of happens subconsciously.
So, yeah, this is like that process you were talking about, like that other scientist guy, the
Yeah, like
separation
the
of
weirdest guy that I saw on Joe Rogan that I did not understand. I was like, dude, this is sounds like a hogwash. Like it sounds like a complete insanity.
insane. Yeah.
Because like this guy is, I think he was a physicist. I gotta maybe rewatch this podcast again
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
because it's like,
Do you remember his name? No.
no, I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
It's just like it confused the shit out of me because the guy sounds like one of those. He sounds like a scam artist, like a occulty guy, yeah. And basically like he was talking about like the whole like consciousness, existence of consciousness, what is consciousness and how it like works and like weird astral projections,
Oh,
like
yes.
and like all trippy shit, and it's like the all kinds of weird tests he did, and like his approach to like that reality is like it's all simulation, which is kind of true. Like all the things that you kind of observe or experience, perceive, it's all your senses
Yeah,
telling you about the
yeah.
external world, and it's all kind of can be altered. Like, I don't know if you have mental disability, so
It's just the way your
so
nerves are
yes,
hooked,
cooked up. Yeah,
process.
exactly. So it's all
Mhm.
kind of like foggy when it comes to like actually
Mhm.
experience the reality.
Yeah, but I like the relation when it comes to like actual art process, because like that whole separation of like the kind of the phase of when you're actually in the flow and when you're working again, this is the that viewpoint where you're watching yourself work,
Yeah.
right, and getting out of the way, and then also the part where like the other side of that process where you're observing and you're learning and you're trying to actually analyze what you're doing in order to understand whatever it is that you're learning at a deeper level. And I like that the separation of those two processes, because I feel like oftentimes we can, at least on for me personally, I try to do everything all at the same time because I just want results as fast as possible,
Mm.
and I'll combine those two processes. So like, and that's what makes me hella slow, like super slow, because like so for example, doing a school assignment, I would think of a like a character design, let's say, do character design, and I'm thinking of like how to make it amazing and studying like design principles and character and acting and shape language,
Yeah.
all while I'm trying to produce something at the same time. And oftentimes it would just be redoing the same thing 100 times and just making a mess and getting confused
Yeah.
and frustrated, and having a result in the end that was took way too long to do, and it doesn't even look that good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you actually separate that and you have to set some time aside just for doing your research and just studying, let's say I'm just going to copy these designs and just like study how the shapes are done and try and understand it, and then put all that shit away and then just sit and draw something and work. Don't refer to your designs. Don't think about like the if it's good with design principles, if the acting comes across. Just work, and then after you've done that work, then go back and you can reassess
Kind
it
of analyze it.
and analyze it. Like kind of like writing, right? Where you kind of write a bunch of shit and then you put it in a drawer and then you come back to it. You're not gonna like as you're writing, you're not gonna sit and analyze it as you write because you're never gonna write anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually a really good approach to drawing as well. Just to like again get out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like those two separate processes where you like kind of rationally analyzing things and trying to like, because I feel like when you're learning things, you have to like almost like understand it in like in a very like a slow methodical way,
Mm.
and like producing is separate from that process.
Yep.
And so I feel like that's why sometimes it's like I did the whole when assignments that I procrastinated the fuck out of them. Then I
The
got
last
to the
minute,
last minute
you have
thing,
no
and
choice.
because like when the last minute you don't have to overthink, like
You don't have
you
time.
like you don't have time to overthink. You like I have to just do this shit, and then it's like you kind of that process of just making things and like just like not thinking about it deeply, but just producing things is like takes over, and you just like free from your overburdened brain of trying to control and rationalize this thing, right? And I feel like it's very unhelpful and like unproductive to get weight to that process
The
of being
last
a last minute kind of procrastination.
it's also the
Where
stress.
it's like instead of like yeah exactly it's stress, instead of like getting that process of just producing started way before and separating that process from like the learning process where you just analyze stuff, you try to like really think about things and like really like rationally break things down,
Yeah.
and then you kind of sleep on on it, like process it, load it back into your subconsciousness or whatever, and when you produce it, hopefully some of that knowledge
Something
would
comes
like
back.
comes back, and
Yeah, I
especially if you
think
keep doing it over and over again.
exactly. I think absolutely it does. It's like we had a friend that whenever he did life drawing, he'd always draw his own face. And it's actually really common in art school in general.
Yeah.
Like when you first start doing life drawing, usually like the face of the people that you draw,
Yeah,
it
it's
has
kind
like
of
it's similar to you, right? Like
unless you
because
like, because when I'm not really good at character design, but whenever I try to do character design, there is something like about that always seems like either faces I constantly see like from my relatives
yep.
or like from myself,
Oh,
and it's
yourself, yeah.
honestly like constantly like you kind of there.
You're a little bit there, yeah, and that's just in the fact that like the face that your brain knows the most is most likely your own, right?
Yeah.
Just from staring in mirrors or
Yeah,
your
yeah.
whole life, you just know your own face, right? So you're always kind of projecting that. So I feel like that works exactly the same, but for anything that you're studying or anything that you're absorbing subconsciously. Like the
Yeah.
more you draw cars, it's very simple in the sense of like the more you draw cars, the better you're going to be at drawing cars. But it's not only just like the act of drawing them. I think it's actually like that the act of like looking and absorbing the image into your brain, right?
Yeah.
Right, like even if you go outside and you sit at the same park every day and you're not drawing it, you're just sitting and you're looking at that park,
Yeah.
your brain is like absorbing those images, those colors, those
Yeah, but I
pictures,
feel like when you actually try to sketch it out, there's something more
deeply, I
deeply
think,
kind of
connected. Yeah,
like the memory of specific, because when you're drawing, you're actually observing specifically things that
yeah,
needed for drawings.
contours and colors.
So I feel like that's more effective way to
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
have that kind of image bank of all this, like, I don't know, influences
Yeah,
be there
in your brain.
in your brain, and they kind of seep in into your work when you actually just produce things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So it's like for me, that's what the biggest kind of interesting struggle was, and that's why sometimes when I get stuck on like when I'm designing things or anything, I'm just go like, doesn't matter, just produce, just make things, don't overthink it, just do it, produce it, and like just draw. And like for example, I was drawing because I constantly get stuck.
Yeah,
Because I never like getting to flow for me is the hardest thing in the world.
yeah.
So it's like, so I always get stuck in something. I was like, I feel stuck, and then once I get stuck, I'm like, maybe I should get a snack.
Yeah, yeah. I need a coffee.
Or like coffee, or
Or I
like
need
maybe I'll go do laundry for a little bit. Like, and because it's like
anything, but yeah.
it's like I feel like this moment of getting stuck is like this, you start to think about it a lot, and like and you like there's some problem that you cannot solve, or it seems too overwhelming or something, and it's like you just want to do something else
Yeah,
instead of they're just going like, don't think about it, just fucking make a choice, whatever, intuitive choice, and just go with
go
it.
with it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of did with my test, and it ended up looking like shit. But listen,
But it was done shit.
yeah,
It was something you
it's
finished,
something I
right?
finished. Yeah,
Finished
it's
the
not
shit.
the that's something I'm proud of, but like, but hopefully, if you kept producing these things and
Exactly.
doing more of
If you did
this
it over and over.
over and over, like more of your skill can like actually get more skill to produce something more decent. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also too like a thing about developing your workflow as well, right? Like you become more efficient in developing things like your way, right? Because it's like one thing where you see a picture and you're like, I want to make it look like that. Well, you're not that person. You didn't make it, so you're not going to follow their exact workflow. It's just not like you're not them.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like the more you go through that process of getting to that picture, that end state, the faster and easier it's going to be to do that thing over and over and over again. That's why you see like prolific artists, they're just so fast at making something that looks amazing,
Yeah.
because they've just developed that
Because they've been
workflow,
like doing this shit forever.
yeah, and they just have a clear way. They know exactly, okay, I know exactly what tool to use, the way that I use it to get that result. Whereas like people first starting out, they don't have that,
Yeah.
right? Because they haven't
I
developed
think
it.
like that's the thing. Maybe even you can achieve the same result, but it would take you like 20 times longer,
Yeah,
100 times
because
longer.
you don't know the path. You're going through the jungle and you're like, fuck, I mean, I don't, do I turn left
And
or right?
sometimes you're like chopping and
Yeah.
shit. You're like, maybe I'll get on the path.
Yeah, maybe you
And
find
sometimes
it.
you just swerve into a ditch. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, that's kind of the interesting process. I've been thinking quite a bit about like trying to make things, and I don't know. It's still hard. I wouldn't say that it's like it's but I feel like there's something in it that I really like feel like this is maybe a pathway for me, because it's like there's something that I like, oh, that's kind of intuitively or like mentally checks,
yeah,
like it reverberates in me in the sense that it's like gives me more ability to actually make things, because it's like it's like certain thoughts or approaches make you feel like, ah, fuck it, like pretty much slow down you from making things, and certain ways of thinking like actually makes you more excited to produce things. Yeah, so I feel like that's certain path of thinking makes me want to make more shit, and it's like kind of like, oh, okay, there's kind of like elevation of that dread of making things. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't know, what about you? How is like for you? Do you use it for work?
No, like, yeah. It's so funny. But for work, it's just fear. Yeah. Yeah.
So
This
you're always
particular.
in that flow state.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's very easy for me to get into flow state, it's particular with work because I'm very conscientious of what people think of me, of how I produce.
Mm,
It's not necessarily a good thing,
yeah.
but it's just an honest thing of like, in terms of like, I really care about like doing a really good job and being
Mm, yeah,
great A student. And it's really annoying that I care so much. Like,
yeah.
it's so, because I get so much stress and
Yeah.
anxiety from it. I'm just like, fuck, it's so fucking annoying. I wish I could turn it off. But yes, but I guess in terms of production, it's good because it's like that fear is like what literally like sets me off to just like fucking sit at a computer for 10 hours and not not move
Yeah,
and work.
that's true.
So, but it's not a healthy thing, so I don't recommend.
Don't.
Definitely, definitely fear. I mean, fear is, I wouldn't say good motivator, but yeah, I don't know. When it comes to your but own work is always much harder because I feel like again the thing that motivates me is like because there's other people involved, there's again that like fear of like producing good work, but also like sort of like the accomplishment of getting praise and
Mm,
the
yeah,
accomplishment of like also for me is like really supporting my team. Like I really
mm,
want to make
yeah,
something cool with a bunch of people that I respect and really like admire in terms
yeah,
of like their craftsmanship
yeah,
too, right? So like there's just part of this like sportsmanship that's involved like when you're
yeah. When
playing on a
in a
team,
team,
when you're
yeah,
in a team. So it's not only just fear, just to make it a bit more positive, but yeah, so that I feel like that really motivates me, that sort of
mm,
like community and like working together with people.
yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Because I know
it's like a very team sport in that sense, which is really cool, honestly.
information and well in games, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, yeah, any of those sort of entertainment arts for the most
yeah,
part.
yeah. Because when you produce like work for yourself, it's very like isolating in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's like forces you to be in your head more, which is
Mhm.
like where my danger zone is.
Dangerous, dangerous. That's funny.
But
Uh,
but yeah, when you like working with a team, which is the exciting part, is like it's a team sport. Therefore, it's like you're not alone
yeah,
tackling this
that's
task,
tough.
and like there's much different brains and like that can help you,
Hmm.
and you sometimes don't even have to turn your own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, because I know when it comes to me with on my personal work, I have a
yeah,
painfully hard time
mm,
just motivating myself to do stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've been trying to work on level forever, and you haven't still designed yet.
dude, did nothing.
I'm actually working, and maybe actually that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna procrastinate on my work, but doing
By doing the level stuff.
the level stuff. Yeah,
This is still working. So yeah, it's hard. It's tricky.
yeah,
But it's I think yeah, ultimately finding that motivation, whatever like gets you going, that's the shit you gotta hold on to, right? If you
that's true.
find like a workflow for you or like or just a new way to think about it. Like for me, like working like especially like producing has never really been like a problem, I think for me. I think as soon as I get attached to like a homework project kind of
Yeah,
is kind of the way I think about it, or craft project, I really get into it. I feel
yeah.
like that's really
The
easy.
problem is not for you to let go.
Yeah, letting go is really hard.
You gotta like craft on it forever.
Yeah, like being efficient or not overthinking. Because
Yeah,
sometimes I'll redo things many, many, many times and just spend way too long on things. Whereas like sometimes it's more efficient just to do something quickly and then move on, do something quickly, move on and iterate on it.
yeah,
Um, but like I think the only way that I can relate to like your situation is like through like sports and fitness because I'm not a very like sporty, never really been like I've been active, like I did team sports and stuff, but nothing like in general, like personal exercise, stuff like that.
hmm,
But like I think when you change the way you think about it, that completely helps you, I guess, integrate it more into your life. So I don't know if I'm saying this in a weird kind of convoluted way, but like because before I never really did any sports and I kind of always had like a little bit of a fear of it or not
hmm,
or something like this. I never wanted to approach it. I never had sort of a mindset that was like positive
hmm,
about approaching just like exercising for yourself, right? But like the moment that I think we talked about it more and like I changed the way I thought about sports. Like it's like they're not sports, but let's say exercise because it used to be just like a thing of fear because I'm a like a high achiever. Like I want to be a high achiever. I don't know
yeah,
if That's whoa, high and mighty. But I really want to be in everything that I do, and I think that's why I never really got into physical fitness because I've always been chunky. So like,
Because you want to kill it.
I want to be amazing. I want to be like that chunky person that's like Michael Jordan, you know? That's not possible. You know, in terms of like, you got to put
Chunky
the
Michael
work.
Jordan. That's a nice design.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a good design. Yeah. But yeah, so every time I had to do anything physical was always really difficult, and I always felt really bad, right?
Mm,
Because it's hard. That's the
yeah,
point. It's
yeah,
supposed to be, right?
yeah.
But like yeah, as soon as I kind of changed how like we started talking about physical fitness because you always kind of integrated it,
Mm,
you had it integrate part of your life. It's just something you just do, right?
yeah.
And it's just like something that's chill, it's relaxing. It doesn't have to be like for me in my mind, it always felt like a mountain. Like,
Mm,
oh my God, like I have to go exercise.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it is like a little bit.
It is like that sometimes, but
Sometimes,
like
yeah.
I don't know, but amount of good reinforcement you get after, or like
Mhm.
I don't know. For me, it's at this point, it's like if I don't do it,
You
I
feel
feel like shit.
the deficit of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think too, for me, it's I'm starting to see that sort of influence in the sense that like when I approach it, exercising, I don't go in with the mentality that I gotta crush it and do like 5,000 squats today because I gotta get that huge juicy booty.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna do the best that I can, and I'm just gonna do something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, you know, a 10K run or anything. This is something insane that's just like not achievable for someone like for my state right
Mm,
now, right? But just approaching at that very bare minimum level just to do something because I know I'll feel better after doing it. And I feel like once you approach art or whatever it is, let's say,
mm,
whatever skill that you want to get better at, because exercise also is a skill.
yeah.
Once you start finding like a mind frame that clicks for you, just like how you're mentioning having
Yeah.
a third person sort of way of looking at it, I feel like that helps so much. And that's something that you don't really, I think, learn how to do like in school necessarily, at least where we went to school, because it was more like get it done and be
Mm.
amazing.
I
Like
don't
that's
know.
what it felt like.
Again, I feel like every person has their own approach.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
true. Yeah,
I don't know.
so
It's like
different.
there's no like approach where it's like
Mm.
this is the way.
Yeah,
Like so you just
yeah.
figure out as you go.
As you go, yeah, and that's yeah, I feel like that's super important. Like there's not just one way to do
Yeah.
things. And I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious, but it's not obvious until I feel like you find that way for yourself and you kind of unlock it a little bit and you're like, "Oh, it doesn't have to be this hard." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be like be all end all. I feel like I'm that definitely that type of person that it comes from the mind frame of like, okay, all in, you know, like it
Yeah.
has to be everything or nothing. But it doesn't have to be everything or
Yeah.
nothing, right? Like
Mm,
you can just like I feel like too, especially in our field because it is highly competitive.
yeah.
It is visual and all the visuals you see online is just amazing people.
Yeah.
Like every artist in entertainment and in general, I think, kind of goes through that phase of fuck, I'm a piece of crap. Like, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't. You don't have to be, you know, friggin' Hayao Miyazaki or like.
I do have to
I
be.
mean, it's nice to aspire to something for sure, but you can also do things in a way that I don't know is like balanced and you still feel good at the end of the day, right? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a
Well, I guess
process
it's all
process
stipulated.
of figuring it
Figuring
out.
it out. Yeah, there is again, there is no way to do it, but I guess there's like validity in taking time to figure that out for yourself. I guess is
Yeah.
maybe what I'm
Mm.
trying to say because I feel like there's like that pressure to just like be able to be so good that you can have a stable career, and I think that's where that kind of
Yeah.
that anxiety
Again,
comes
it's
from.
like we were talking in the beginning. It's like career is already very unstable,
Sure.
and also you dealing with your own being a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like okay, it's like
Dude is raw.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like this because I feel like being good is also attached. It's attached to the ego for
Mm.
sure, just because you want to be a good artist, but it's attached to your stability. So I feel like
Yeah.
in that sense, it kind of weighs you on you a bit more,
Yeah.
or at least let's say for me, I
Yeah.
can't say, but like for me, because it's like okay, in order to have a stable career and other things in life, say if you did want to like connect a stable career to family or to
Yeah.
whatever, right? Or helping out other family members, then you gotta be good. So if you're a fucking shit artist,
Yeah.
then you're never gonna be stable, and then you're constantly fucking in this.
Yeah, chase.
Yeah, and I know that's for everything. Every
That's
artist
true.
feels like they're
Yeah.
shit, even Zaki.
I don't know. Maybe he
Well,
also
he
is
said
confident.
this quote once though. There was a quote that he like saw, like, was it Cezanne or something, or no? No, there was a different. I'm gonna misquote it for sure. But he saw some really amazing painting. He was like, "Fuck, I'll never be good" or some shit. And you're like, Jesus, man, dude, you're like 90 and still making amazing stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, whatever.
That's what.
I'm gonna make more shit go.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, making stuff is always gonna improve you, even if that stuff looks like shit to you.
Yeah.
And it's always surprising too. Like, I feel like I've worked a couple of jobs where I've like made some like a contract work, right? And I made some stuff and I'm like, man, this is tough, but I gotta submit it. Like, here you go. Here you go, guys. And you submit it and you're like, man, this is so ugly. And they're like, actually, we love this, dude. Can you make more? And you're like,
Sometimes it does happen.
yeah, sometimes you don't know what people are gonna gravitate towards, and as long as you just keep
Yeah,
making.
because like your aesthetic choices or aesthetic sensibility, sometimes not everyone's aesthetic sensibility.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, some of the stuff that I love, and I'm like, man, that's amazing. So people are like, you,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It is kind of like a weird state then.
it is. Yeah, so just gotta keep making stuff. I feel like that's what we always say at the end of our podcast.
Just gotta do shit, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like next step is like productivity in terms of like actually. I feel like if I was more organized, I get more shit done. I feel like that's just a general life goal.
Yeah, being more organized.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see. Actually, I'm gonna try being more organized next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, with work, it's a bit easier because it's like you can just block off
Yeah.
this time of day.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop doing laundry in the middle of work day.
I mean,
And washing dishes.
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I feel
I
like
need to
after.
de-stress. I'm gonna go wash dishes.
Yeah, dude. There's always an excuse not to
Yeah.
work on your own shit, right?
Mm.
It's really hard. But the fun part is like once you actually get into the flow, it's really enjoyable. Like it's such an enjoyable process. Like when you get into the flow of working on your stuff. Yeah, because you made some cool shit recently, like your layout, or not layout, but your like your house drawing and your is it not gondola?
Yeah.
Particular.
Praise me.
Praise me.
Praise.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So.
Whatever. Make more stuff.
Mm.
Anyways, let's finish this podcast because I gotta shit.
Okay. And on that note,
Yeah.
we started with shit, ending with shit.